The research vessel Stellar Observer hung in Earth's orbit, its sensors gathering data about the blue planet below. Captain Reed of the Galactic Council's Science Division stared at the readings with all four of his eyes, unable to believe what he was seeing. His thin fingers tapped rapidly on the control panel as he ran the tests again. "This can't be right," he muttered, his gray skin taking on a darker shade of worry. The gravity alone should make complex life impossible. He turned to his science officer. "Run a full planetary scan again." The readings came back the same. Not only was there complex life on this death trap of a planet, but there were cities, massive cities that sparkled in the darkness of the planet's night side. Radio signals filled the electromagnetic spectrum, and artificial satellites cluttered the orbital paths. A civilization had not only survived here, it had thrived. The captain's first report to the Galactic Council was met with disbelief. The conditions on Earth violated everything they knew about habitable worlds. The gravity was 60% higher than any known civilized planet. The temperature swings between seasons should have made consistent agriculture impossible. The atmospheric pressure was crushing by normal standards, and the oxygen content was so high that fires should have regularly swept across the continents. And yet there they were, humans. First contact happened 3 days later. The Stellar Observer's communication officer picked up a transmission from something called the International Space Station. The crude orbital habitat housed several humans who had somehow adapted to zero gravity despite evolving in Earth's crushing gravitational field. Captain Tom Miller was the first human to board the Stellar Observer. The crew watched in horror as he stepped out of his primitive spacesuit, expecting him to collapse under the ship's artificial gravity, which was set to standard galactic normal, far lighter than Earth's pull. Instead, Miller bounced slightly and smiled. "Feels like the moon up here," he said, completely unaware that he had just shocked every alien in the room. His body, evolved for Earth's brutal gravity, found the ship's environment almost weightless. The medical scans were even more terrifying. Miller's bones were incredibly dense, his muscles far more powerful than they should be. His heart was a powerhouse, ready to pump blood against Earth's gravity. His lung capacity was enormous, adapted to an atmosphere that would be toxic to most species. "Your people live in deserts and frozen wastelands?" the ship's doctor asked, looking at the planetary data. "In the same year." "Sure," Miller shrugged. "We call it seasons. You should see Siberia, -60 in winter, +40 in summer. People live there year-round." The crew's translator had to run those numbers twice. The temperature swing he described would kill most species, yet humans considered it normal enough to build permanent settlements. The final shock came when they discussed Earth's wildlife. Miller casually mentioned something called a honey badger and showed them videos of Earth's animals. The crew watched in stunned silence as creatures that would be classified as apex predators on any other world were kept by humans as pets. "That's just a cat," Miller explained as they watched a small furry predator take down prey with frightening efficiency. "Lots of people have them in their homes. Great with kids." The Galactic Council's emergency session lasted 3 days. The evidence was clear. They had discovered something unprecedented. Earth wasn't just another death world. It was the death world, and it had forged its dominant species into something the galaxy had never seen before. The Council's decision was unanimous. Earth would be quarantined, not to protect humans from the galaxy, but to protect the galaxy from humans until they could better understand these creatures that treated lethal environments as minor inconveniences. As the Stellar Observer prepared to leave Earth's orbit, Captain Reed watched Miller return to the space station. The human moved with the easy confidence of a species that had conquered a world that should have been impossible to survive on, let alone master. "Send a priority message to the Council," Reed told his communications officer. "Message begins. The species known as humans require immediate study. Their home world has created beings that defy our understanding of biology, evolution, and survival. Most importantly, they don't seem to know they're special. To them, Living on a death world is just normal. Message ends. Earth continued its orbit around its yellow star, its inhabitants going about their daily lives, completely unaware that they had just been classified as the most dangerous species in the known galaxy, not because they were aggressive or violent, but because they had made the impossible look easy. The alien research team arrived on Earth 3 weeks after first contact. They chose a place called Colorado for their base, thinking its high altitude would make the crushing gravity more bearable. They were wrong. Dr. Anna Reed watched with amusement as the 5 alien scientists waddled around in their protective suits, struggling with every step. "You'll get used to it," she said, knowing they probably wouldn't. The lead scientist, Dr. Blue, his real name was unpronounceable, looked at her through his transparent helmet with an expression she had learned meant disbelief. "How do you run?" he asked, watching a group of humans jogging past their facility. "The energy required to lift your body weight at this gravity should make it impossible." Anna smiled and pulled out her tablet. "Want to see something really interesting?" She showed them footage of the last Olympic marathon. The aliens watched in horror as hundreds of humans ran for hours in the scorching heat. "They're persistence hunters," she explained. "Our ancestors chased prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We're probably the only species in the galaxy that evolved that way." The research team spent the next few days studying human physical capabilities. They were shocked to learn that humans could repair broken bones, survive the loss of major organs, and heal from injuries that would kill most species. When Anna showed them footage of humans swimming in the ocean, Dr. Blue nearly fainted. "You willingly enter large bodies of water with predators?" he gasped. "Some people do it for fun," Anna replied. "We call it surfing." The concept of doing dangerous things for fun baffled the aliens completely. They were even more confused when Anna explained mountain climbing, skydiving, and bull running. The fact that humans would deliberately seek out dangerous situations for entertainment did not help their reputation as Deathworld monsters. But it was the study of human history that really frightened them. They learned how humans had spread across their planet, adapting to every environment they found. Deserts, frozen tundra, dense jungles, high mountains, nothing had stopped human expansion. "Your people lived in the Arctic before modern technology?" Dr. Blue asked, studying pictures of ancient Inuit settlements. "How did you survive the cold?" "We made clothes from animal skins, built shelters from ice, and learned to find food even in the harshest conditions," Anna explained. "Humans are very good at adapting." The research team was particularly interested in human eating habits. The fact that humans could eat both plants and meat was unusual enough, but their ability to digest substances that would be toxic to most species was truly alarming. When they discovered that humans deliberately ate substances that caused pain, spicy food, for pleasure, 3 members of the research team had to take a break to process this information. "And this," Dr. Blue pointed at a coffee cup on Anna's desk. "This is a stimulant you extract from plant seeds, mix with hot water, and drink every morning." "Most mornings," Anna said, taking a sip. "Would you like to try some?" The aliens quickly declined, having learned that many things humans casually consumed were lethal to other species. The final report to the Galactic Council painted a picture that would change the galaxy's view of life itself. Humans weren't just tough. They were almost indestructible by galactic standards. They could survive radiation levels that would kill most species, recover from injuries that should be fatal, and adapt to environments that should be impossible to live in. Most worryingly, they were smart. Humans had taken their Deathworld adaptations and turned them into advantages. They had developed technologies specifically because their world was so dangerous, advancing at a pace that the alien scientists found difficult to believe. As the research team prepared to leave Earth, Dr. Blue had one final question for Anna. "Aren't you afraid, living on such a dangerous world?" Anna looked out the window at the Rocky Mountains, their peaks covered in snow that would freeze most species solid. In the distance, a thunderstorm was brewing, its lightning powerful enough to fry the aliens' sensitive equipment. A nearby bear warning sign reminded visitors to be careful of the local wildlife. Afraid? She smiled. This is home. To us, the rest of the galaxy sounds kind of boring. Dr. Blue made a final note in his report. The most remarkable thing about humans is not that they survived their Deathworld. It's that they love it. The emergency alert woke Dr. Anna Reed at 3 in the morning. The message was from Dr. Blue, and its contents made her sit up straight in bed. The peaceful farming world of Haven was under attack by an unknown alien force, and the Galactic Council's military was failing to defend it. The attackers had chosen their target well. Haven was exactly what its name suggested. A gentle world with perfect weather, low gravity, and no dangerous wildlife. Its people had never faced any serious threats. Now they were being overwhelmed by an aggressive species that had somehow breached the Council's defenses. 2 days later, Anna found herself in front of the Galactic Council's Emergency Committee, trying to convince them of something they didn't want to hear. "You need humans," she said simply. "Your soldiers aren't trained for this kind of combat. They've never had to fight for survival." The council members shifted uncomfortably. One of them, a tall being with silvery skin, spoke up. "Dr. Reed, we've seen your species' military capabilities. They're frightening, but Haven's conditions are nothing like Earth's. Your people would be fighting in low gravity, with thin air." "Perfect." A new voice interrupted. Commander Jack Stone walked into the chamber, his combat boots making the alien delegates wince with each heavy step. "Those conditions give us advantages you haven't even thought of." Stone pulled up footage from Earth's military training. The aliens watched in silence as human soldiers practiced warfare in deserts, jungles, Arctic conditions, and underwater. "We've been fighting in every environment Earth could throw at us for thousands of years. Low gravity. That just means we can jump further, carry more weapons." The council took 3 hours to debate. In the end, they had no choice. The reports from Haven were getting worse, and their own forces were retreating from what they called impossible fighting conditions. The temperatures on the battlefield sometimes varied by as much as 10 degrees, conditions that would strain most species, but would feel like a mild spring day to humans. The first human military advisors arrived on Haven within 24 hours. Commander Stone led the team, with Anna accompanying them as a cultural expert. The sight of humans moving easily in Haven's low gravity immediately caught the attention of both friend and foe. "They're jumping over buildings," one Haven defender reported in awe, watching human soldiers leap incredible distances in the reduced gravity. "And they're carrying enough weapons for 3 soldiers." The attackers learned quickly that they had made a serious mistake. They had chosen Haven because its people were peaceful and its conditions were perfect. No major temperature changes, no dangerous wildlife, no natural disasters. But these same conditions made it a perfect battlefield for humans. Stone's team began training Haven's defenders in Earth tactics. The aliens were shocked by concepts like guerrilla warfare and endurance fighting. The idea of setting ambushes and fighting through the night was foreign to them. Most galactic species needed regular rest cycles. Humans, evolved to pursue prey for days, could fight almost indefinitely. "You want us to dig holes?" one Haven defender asked, looking at Stone's plans for trenches. "Trust me," Stone replied, remembering Earth's military history. "Sometimes the old ways work best." The turning point came during what became known as the Long Night. The attackers, confident in their superior numbers, launched what they thought would be a final assault. They didn't expect the defenders to fight for 18 hours straight. They certainly didn't expect humans to consider this a good workout. By dawn, the attack had collapsed. The enemy forces, exhausted and demoralized, retreated in confusion. They had never encountered soldiers who seemed to grow stronger as battles grew longer, who treated hostile conditions as advantages rather than obstacles. Anna watched from the command center as human soldiers helped Haven's people rebuild, easily lifting materials that would require machinery for other species. Dr. Blue's latest message to the Council sat on her tablet. We must reevaluate our understanding of warfare. Earth's Deathworld didn't just create survivors. It created warriors who find opportunities in conditions that would kill most species. They don't just endure hardship. They use it as a weapon. Stone walked up beside her, looking out at the horizon. They'd want us to stay, help train their defense forces. Of course they do, Anna smiled. We're Deathworlders. Teaching others to survive is what we do. The training grounds on Haven looked more like Earth with each passing day. Commander Stone watched as his human instructors taught the alien defenders how to dig trenches, set up patrol routes, and most importantly, think like Deathworlders. Again, Stone called out to a group struggling with hand-to-hand combat training. Remember, you're stronger than us in this gravity. Use that advantage. The aliens, still amazed the humans could function in their weakened state, nodded and resumed their practice. A month had passed since the failed invasion, and word had spread through the galaxy about the strange warriors from Earth. Military observers from dozens of worlds came to watch the training, their protective suits and breathing equipment, making them look like spacewalking astronauts compared to the humans walking around in regular uniforms. They sleep on the ground, one observer whispered, watching human soldiers demonstrate survival techniques. Voluntarily, on the actual ground. That's nothing, another replied. Yesterday, I saw one drink water from a stream. Unfiltered. The stories grew with each passing day. Humans could eat local plants without testing them first, using something they called universal edibility testing, a concept that horrified most species. They could match the paw prints of local animals to determine what was in the area, a skill that seemed like magic to races that had never needed to track prey or avoid predators. But it was the combat demonstrations that really showed what Earth had created. The human soldiers organized a mock battle for the observers, fighting in conditions they considered mild, but what other species saw as extreme. They fought through a rainstorm, used the mud as camouflage, and kept going for hours without rest. This is how we train on Earth, Stone explained to the shocked observers. Except there, we have to worry about bears. When they asked what a bear was, Stone showed them a video. 3 observers had to leave the room. Anna spent her time documenting the differences between human and alien approaches to survival. Where other species sought to avoid or minimize environmental challenges, humans had learned to use them. A rainstorm wasn't just weather, it was cover for movement. Rough terrain wasn't an obstacle, it was a defensive position. Even darkness, which most species found deeply unsettling, was just another tool in the human arsenal. Your people are changing how we think about everything, Dr. Blue told her one evening. The Council's military doctrine was based on fighting in ideal conditions. You've shown us that's actually a weakness. The breakthrough came when Haven's defenders faced their first real test after training. A small group of raiders, unaware of the changes on the planet, attempted a raid on an outlying settlement. They found themselves facing soldiers who no longer feared adverse conditions, who had learned to think like Deathworlders. The battle lasted less than an hour. The raiders, expecting easy prey, instead found defensive positions that seemed to have grown from the Earth itself, defenders who used the terrain against them, and tactics they had never encountered. They retreated in panic, leaving behind equipment that showed they came from another easy world, one that had never challenged its inhabitants. You've done more than teach us to fight, the Haven defense chief told Stone afterward. You've taught us to survive. Stone nodded, watching the sunset with eyes adapted to handle Earth's harsh glare. That's what living on a death world teaches you. Everything can kill you, so everything can also help you survive. You just have to learn to see it that way. The next day, representatives from 20 different worlds asked to join the training program. They had finally understood something humans had known all along. The galaxy wasn't always going to be gentle. Better to learn from the people who had mastered the art of survival. Anna added a note to her ongoing report. The greatest gift Earth gave humanity wasn't our strength or endurance. It was the understanding that hardship isn't our enemy. It's our teacher. Other species are starting to learn this lesson, and the galaxy will never be the same. In the distance, Haven's defenders practiced climbing cliffs that a month ago they would have considered impossibly dangerous. Their movements were still cautious, but they were moving, adapting, learning. They were beginning to understand what humans had known since they first looked up at the stars. The universe doesn't care if you're ready for its challenges. You either adapt or you don't survive. The first alien tourist ship landed in New Zealand, chosen for its mild weather and gentle terrain. The aliens emerged in their protective suits, eager to experience the Deathworld that had produced such remarkable beings. Their tour guide, Mike, tried not to laugh at their terrified reactions to a light drizzle. "Don't worry," he said, watching them flinch at the rain. "This is just water. Wait until you see what we're doing today." The activity he had planned was simple by human standards. A walk through a national park. To the aliens, it was like an expedition into hell. They watched in horror as human families with small children casually walked past warnings about poisonous plants, dangerous animals, and steep cliffs. "You bring your young here?" one tourist asked, all three of their hearts pounding. "For entertainment." "Sure," Mike smiled. "Kids love camping. Look, there's a school group ahead of us." The aliens watched as human children, barely old enough to walk, scrambled over rocks and identified local plants with cheerful enthusiasm. When a child fell and scraped their knee, got up, and kept running, several tourists had to sit down and process what they had seen. Meanwhile, on the Galactic Council's capital world, the first human embassy was making waves. Ambassador John Parker had insisted on minimal environmental controls in the human section, causing endless worry among his alien counterparts. They couldn't understand how he could work in an office that experienced temperature variations of up to 5 degrees. "You should see my cabin in Montana," Parker told them. "Now that's what I call weather." The embassy became famous for its Earth Room, a simulation of various Earth environments that aliens could visit in protective gear. The desert simulation, running at a mere 35 degrees Celsius, was considered an endurance challenge by most species. The Arctic simulation, despite being much warmer than Earth's real poles, had to have warning signs. But it was human sports that really caught the galaxy's attention. When the embassy screened a documentary about extreme sports, the medical wing had to treat several aliens for shock. The concept of jumping out of perfectly good aircraft, climbing frozen waterfalls, or surfing giant waves for fun challenged everything they thought they knew about intelligent behavior. "You do this for entertainment?" Dr. Blue asked Anna, watching footage of a base jumping event. "Not because you have to. Sometimes the best way to appreciate life is to challenge death," she replied, showing him videos of wingsuit flying. The doctor had to turn away. The cultural exchange went both ways. Humans found the aliens' careful, measured approach to life fascinating. Their art focused on harmony and peace, their sports emphasized precision over power, and their music sought to soothe rather than excite. But even as they learned from each other, the aliens couldn't help but study how humans had been shaped by their world. Human medical techniques, developed to deal with a planet full of ways to get injured, were revolutionizing galactic healthcare. Human emergency protocols, designed for a world where disaster could strike at any moment, were being adopted across the galaxy. 6 months after the tourist programs began, the Galactic Council received an unusual request. A group of young aliens wanted to attend human military training camps. They had seen how Earth's harsh conditions had forged humanity into something remarkable, and they wanted to experience it themselves. "Your world scares us," one of them told Commander Stone. "But it also inspires us. We want to learn to be strong like you." Stone looked at these beings, raised in perfect safety, who were willing to face their fears and challenge themselves. Maybe that was humanity's real gift to the galaxy, not just the strength to survive, but the courage to choose difficulty over comfort. The Council approved the request, with extensive safety measures. As Anna watched the first group of alien cadets arrive for training, she thought about how far they'd come. Earth was still classified as the Deathworld, but that title now carried a new meaning. It wasn't just a warning. It was a mark of respect. "Welcome to Earth," she told the nervous cadets. "Don't worry about the gravity, the poison ivy, the bears, the weather. Just remember, everything trying to kill you is also teaching you to live." The discovery happened by accident. A human archaeology team, working with alien scientists on a distant world, found something in an ancient ruin that changed everything. Deep beneath the surface of a dead planet, they uncovered a database belonging to a long-extinct species called the Creators. Dr. Anna Reed got the call at midnight. By morning, she was in a secure room with Commander Stone, Ambassador Parker, and several high-ranking members of the Galactic Council. The holographic display showed lines of alien text that had taken weeks to translate. Project Genesis, Anna read aloud. The creation of the ultimate survival species. The ancient records were clear. Earth hadn't become a death world by chance. The Creators had engineered it that way, turning a normal planet into a crucible of evolution. They had seeded it with aggressive life forms, triggered ice ages, stirred up volcanic activity, and created an environment that would either kill everything on it or produce something extraordinary. They were dying out, Dr. Blue explained, his voice quiet. They wanted to create a species that could survive anything, that could adapt to any challenge. They chose Earth as their laboratory. The record showed centuries of careful manipulation. The Creators had pushed Earth's development, making it more challenging with each passing millennium. They had watched as early humans learned to survive, to hunt, to think their way out of impossible situations. Each challenge that didn't kill humanity made it stronger. "Look at these notes." Anna pointed to a section of text. "They were amazed that we survived the ice ages. They expected us to die out. But instead, we created tools, discovered fire, built shelters. We exceeded their expectations." The Creators had died out before seeing their project completed, victims of their own comfortable evolution. Their final notes spoke of hope that their experiment would succeed, that somewhere in the galaxy, a species would emerge that could face any challenge and survive. Commander Stone walked to the window, looking out at the alien city. "So everything that makes Earth deadly, the gravity, the weather, the aggressive life forms, it was all designed to create us." "Not just create you," Dr. Blue replied. "Perfect you." Each disaster that struck Earth was a test. Each challenge was carefully calculated. The survivors would be stronger, smarter, more adaptable. Generation after generation. For millions of years. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just survived a death world. They were the intended product of one. Every human trait that amazed the galaxy had been carefully cultivated by ancient engineers playing a long game of evolutionary chess. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some wanted to keep this information secret, fearing how humans would react. Others argued for full disclosure, saying humans had earned the right to know their true heritage. Anna watched the arguments with a strange calm. "You're all missing the point," she finally said, silencing the chamber. "The Creators didn't make us strong by directly engineering our genes. They made our world challenging, and we rose to meet those challenges. Everything we are, we earned through our own efforts." Ambassador Parker nodded slowly. "Earth didn't make us tough by being gentle. It made us tough by being harsh. The Creators may have set up the game, but we're the ones who played it and won." The debate lasted for days. In the end, they decided to tell humanity the truth. The news spread across Earth, causing a mix of shock, disbelief, and pride. Humans had always wondered why their world seemed so much harsher than others. Now they knew it had been designed that way, to forge them into something unprecedented. "Think about it," Anna told a group of reporters later. "Every time we survived something that should have killed us, every time we adapted to something that should have been impossible, we were proving the Creators right. They believed that the ultimate survivors could be created, and we proved them right. Dr. Blue added a final note to his ongoing study of humanity. The revelation of Earth's true nature hasn't weakened humanity's spirit. If anything, it has strengthened their resolve. They now see their harsh world not as a cruel accident, but as the forge that made them who they are. They're proud of it. And perhaps that's the greatest proof that the Creator's experiment succeeded. Humans don't resent the challenges they faced. They celebrate them. 5 years after the revelation about Earth's origins, humanity had spread across the stars in ways no one expected. Earth itself had become a symbol, not just of survival, but of growth through adversity. The planet that had once been quarantined was now the most visited world in the galaxy, despite its dangers, or perhaps because of them. Commander Stone stood on the deck of humanity's first deep space exploration vessel, the Deathworld. The name had been chosen deliberately, wearing their planet's reputation as a badge of honor. The ship's crew was mostly human, but included a small group of aliens who had completed Earth's survival training. They called themselves honorary Deathworlders and wore the title proudly. Deep Space Survey picking up something interesting, his alien navigation officer reported. Unknown signals from beyond mapped space. No one's ever gone that far. Stone smiled. 5 years ago, that sentence would have sparked emergency meetings and careful planning. Now, it was an invitation. Humanity had learned that they were designed to face the unknown, and they had embraced that destiny. Back on Earth, Dr. Anna Reed was overseeing the Galactic Training Academy, built in the Rocky Mountains. Alien species from across the galaxy sent their best and bravest to train in Earth's harsh conditions. The sight of alien cadets learning to climb mountains, survive in the wilderness, and handle Earth's gravity had become common. Today's challenge is desert survival, she told a group of nervous aliens. Don't worry. We've made sure the temperature won't go above 40 degrees Celsius. She didn't mention that humans considered this mild weather. The Academy had changed how the galaxy viewed challenge and adversity. Species that had spent millennia avoiding difficult conditions now sought them out, understanding that comfort bred weakness. Earth's harsh lessons were spreading among the stars. Ambassador Parker, speaking at the Galactic Council, summed up humanity's new role. We were forged in fire, shaped by ice, tested by every disaster nature could throw at us. Now we can help others find their own strength. Earth isn't just a death world, it's a teaching world. The Council had changed too. Their military forces now trained in harsh conditions, preparing for the unknown threats that might lurk in unexplored space. Human survival techniques had been integrated into emergency protocols across the galaxy. Even civilian ships now carried Earth-inspired survival gear. Dr. Blue, now the head of Xenohuman Studies, had published his final analysis. The creators succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. They wanted to make survivors. Instead, they made teachers, explorers, and guardians. Humanity doesn't just endure. They help others learn to endure. The changes went beyond survival skills. Earth sports had sparked a revolution in how other species viewed physical challenges. Alien youth were taking up rock climbing, wilderness hiking, and even swimming. Modified versions of human sports spread across the galaxy, each adapted to different species' capabilities, but maintaining the core idea: growth through challenge. The Deathworld made its first major discovery 6 months into its mission. They found another ship, alien and ancient, damaged beyond repair. Any other species would have marked the location and called for experts. The human crew, along with their honorary Deathworlder companions, suited up and went to explore. Unknown environment, potential hazards, minimal data. Stone listed over the comm. Just another day at the office. Their exploration revealed technologies far beyond current understanding, but the humans approached it like they approached everything, with careful respect for danger and confidence in their ability to handle whatever came. The alien crew members, trained on Earth, showed the same steady approach. As humanity pushed further into space, they carried Earth's lessons with them. Every new world they found was measured not by its comforts, but by its challenges. Every alien species they met was taught not to fear the harsh and dangerous, but to learn from it. Earth remained Deathworld, but its title had gained new meaning. It wasn't a prison or a curse. It was a proving ground, a teacher, a forge where strength was hammered out of adversity. The creators had wanted to make the ultimate survivors. Instead, they had made something far greater. A species that could turn any survival situation into a lesson, any challenge into an opportunity. And as humanity looked toward the unknown regions of space, they carried with them the greatest lesson Earth had taught them. The most dangerous worlds created the strongest survivors, and the harshest challenges bred the finest teachers.